welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're in the Silverado today, and today we're headed up to Park Chevrolet. They're in Huntersville, and we're gonna go get some warranty work taken care of. There was another dealership, Victory Chevrolet, which I wanted to go to, but their dealership is booked out for an entire month and I need an oil change like now. So I'm using my one free complimentary oil change that came with the Silverado. And also there's basically 3 TSBs, well, two and a half, whatever you want to call that. One is the DRL headlight, DRL. Now I already got an over-the-air update for that, so I think that one's been taken care of. Now that was a full recall. The other TSBs are the peeling paint on the hood. If you guys are familiar with the Trail Boss or the ZR2, you'll know that the hood scoop basically causes the paint to peel. I have some paint damage on the truck, but you know, I did wrap this right away when I got it with 3M. Actually, no, it's Expel PPF. You know, that paint protection film. So I think that has helped saved it a little bit. But basically, what the recall is, they take the scoop off, they repaint the whole hood, then they put a layer of foam underneath it. That's literally all that the recall is. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to get that done today, but that is a TSB, and I do want to get my truck inspected for that if we do have to take this back in at a later date. And then the other two are, one is the ZR2 gauge cluster. I wanted to get the cluster update for the ZR2. The 23 models came with that, and actually some early 23s came with the standard high country gauge cluster information as well. Basically it's the startup sequence and the truck in the picture. So I'm going to try to go ahead and get that updated to the ZR2. And the third one is actually the brake controller. There is a TSB out there for that. So, alright guys, we've been here before, car shows. I actually looked at a previous Silverado here, it wasn't a ZR2. And yeah, so we are here at Parks Chevrolet, as you guys can see. Yeah, so let's go turn the car in and see what they do. So, all right guys, you see we are back home, and the truck is outside. I did end up driving it back home. You know, we went in for 3 or 4 things: the gauge cluster update, the trailer brake controller, the oil change, and then we actually discovered another recall, and that is the plastic spacers for the spare tire. Well, long story short, I came home with nothing done but the oil change. So I, you know, asked them about the gauge cluster update, and they said, oh, we'll take a look at it. For the trailer brake controller, they basically said that if it isn't broke, well, we're not even going to take a look at it. So that's kind of stupid, because I'd much rather have them just take the quick 5-minute look at it, see if it checks out. But no, I guess I'm going to have to be stuck somewhere with a broken trailer brake controller before they'll fix that. So, and then the icing on the cake for this whole thing was the spare tire spacer, because basically the exhaust sits too close to the spare tire and it can melt the rubber. I've taken the spare tire on and off. It can be tight if you push it too far back, but I have not had an issue with that. So when I went back expecting maybe 1 or 2 of these things to be done, you know, the gauge cluster or anything like that, well, they gave me the paperwork and I went home. Long story short, I took a look at the paperwork and they didn't even do the recall on the spare tire thing. It says the spacers are special order and they have 0 in stock. So basically, I guess they have to order them, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure I'm going to go back to that dealership, and there's a number of reasons why. You know, I asked them to take a look at a couple things. They didn't look at anything, and I would bet hard-earned money that they didn't even bother looking at the gauge cluster update. I gave them all the information. I gave them, you know, paperwork that have been on the ZR2 forums. I know they didn't bother with it. So needless to say, I will never be going back to that dealership again. The whole thing started off bad, and I just knew I wasn't going to get the service I wanted. So yeah, so long story short, I made a video about maybe getting all these fixes and all these recalls, and the only thing they did was change the oil. Unfortunately, that oil change cost me $50 because I had to take an Uber to the dealership and back, and that was just about 50 bucks. For 50 bucks, I could have bought a filter and done the oil change here at home for free. I mean, I didn't get charged for the oil change, but still, could have done that here without bothering them. So, like I said, I will not be going back to that dealership. And to put this in perspective, just over a year ago when I actually bought my truck, I went to that dealership looking to see if they had any. And the only thing they had was a 5.3 liter truck. I'm not sure if it was an RST or whatever, but it wasn't even a Z51. It was a 4-wheel drive 5.3 truck with the old interior, and they wanted dang near $80,000 for it. Now, I got my ZR2 shipped to my house, well, father-in-law's house, for $72 out the door, everything done deal. So I'm not going to name that dealership yet again, but like I said, I will never be doing business there again. So here's what we're going to end up doing. I think I'm going to go with a dealership that's out in the country. It's near where my father-in-law lives, and it's where he's bought all of his trucks from for like the last 15 or 20 years. I got that service advisor's, actually, he's like the service manager. I got his information, so I'm going to give him a call. And I just want to see if we can even do the gauge cluster update. People have done it successfully, and I also know people that have actually bricked the gauge cluster because they did the update wirelessly instead of wired. See, that's the thing, guys. I was trying to tell the service advisor, if they do the update, it needs to be done wired, plugged into the, the OBD2 port. If you try to do it wirelessly, it can brick and ruin. It's like a $1,000 gauge cluster. So, I'm not going to be buying the gauge cluster because they did it wrong. Like I said, I'm going to try a different dealership, not in the city, and go out in the country, and maybe we get a better experience there. So we'll keep you guys updated with a future video. If you guys want to see maybe a gauge cluster update video, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. And if you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. Make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.